All right, Mike. This is how I do these pipes for the FAI. You get some wire like this. Just make sure you get plenty of it because it's better to have enough than not enough. Now, there's several methods, but the way I do mine. Now, what some guys will do is, if you see this boss right here, so it's got like a little lip. If you could drill a tiny hole right here and then a tiny hole right there, you know, like one on each side. Some guys will actually do that, and then they'll lace this through on each side, and then wrap it around the cylinder, and then twist and tighten it. Some guys do that, and it works pretty damn good if you got enough meat there to do it. If you do it really carefully, it's tricky because different pipes. You can't really get away with it so much. This one looks like I probably could. But anyway, here's the way I'm currently doing it, and it does work. And I've been doing it like this for years. So you get a bunch of wire. It doesn't actually have to be on here just yet. Actually, I could probably just take it off easier. But anyway, let's see. I'll just cut it to this length. That'll be fine. Okay, and I'll get like this, and I'll wrap it a couple times like that. I know it's not even, but you get the gist of what I'm doing, right? So anyway, see, so I got a few loops right here, and then get that on there. And then you want to kind of take the slack out of that, and then probably hold one tight or something. But then you want to take this, and then you see it's got these little, you got the fins right here, so they kind of lock in there. So you can just kind of go like that and just wrap it around. You probably get about 2 wraps. That's about what I do. And then wrap that one around a couple times like that, and then what I would do is get a wrench, something like this, and then try to get it kind of twist like that. You could get a wrench if you want, and then you could start twisting it, or you could also do it by hand here. Just get it in there. Give it a couple twists. You don't have to twist the shit out of it, just as long as it's enough that it's held and it's not going to go anywhere. It's just not pulling. You could even make it redundant if you want and wrap some more and then run it down, do it on the bottom end too, to kind of help support it evenly, I guess. Whatever floats your boat. But you don't have to. But then you just kind of, with some pliers that have shitty dikes on them, you can throw them in the box and get some proper dikes, like I just did. Trim the excess off, and then you just kind of, like that, just kind of tuck it down, or tuck it down in there, kind of nice and neat. Well, you don't have to worry about it because you don't have a pan, but you have a pan that goes over it. It's a shroud that goes over the thing, and it's literally an exact perfect tight fit against this thing, like a mold. So anything sticking out is actually, it's going to go and hang up on it. But since you don't have a pan, then never mind. Now I'm running a Tetra tank. It's a bladder. So and I got a remote needle right here, filter. It goes to my engine, and I got my pinch off right here, which you can see. I guess you could kind of see it right there. I see, and then it just pulls in, goes like that, and goes and kinks the line, and that's my shut off. And right here, this is my pressure line. So that just goes like that. That's it. But that's how we mount our pipes. And since you're running FAI, the best thing you can do is get yourself a set of Globies. These are FAI plugs. They're meant for FAI, and they're really good. And this is the case, the main base for your plug. And then these are just the inserts. Now there's a reason. If you look at like this one right here, see that's all flat and perfect. That's because that one hasn't been messed with. That one's stock. But usually when we get them set up to fly, these ones that look mangled, they're actually supposed to look like that. And what we do is we'll pull the element out like so. And that way it reaches farther into the combustion chamber. And you get a little bit more heat, better heat. And it's a lot easier to light these things up and get them to come onto the pipe and stay onto the pipe. Because the FAI stuff on no nitro could be a pain in the ass to get them to go. You see, you just kind of slide it in there like this, and then you have a whole plug. Now, usually, on this one I have a remote glow system, but I don't have it set up. I have it disconnected right now, but this would go to a ground, like on one of the bolts on the engine down, and then this one would go right up here on top of the plug. And I put a little piece of cardboard paper or something like that in between there, and then put this on there. That way it doesn't make contact with this and short out. But this is basically how it's done. Oops, I didn't grab. You gotta be real careful putting these things on there. Make sure that it's grabbing on there with your fingers, and then just kind of gently like that, and then I'll just snug it up with my wrench. But you see, you have that nice little pin right there, and then this little hook. I have this little hook where it kind of clamps right on there, and then I just run the line right down through one of the fins here. Like that. Oh, that popped off. But anyway, I just run it down like that. It's nice and clean. And then I put my shroud on it. And that's if you want to go with an onboard glow. And then with the onboard glows, we run a 1-cell LiPo. So you're getting a lot more heat. And believe me, these type of plugs can take the heat. A normal plug will burn out instantly. But these type of racing plugs require way more power than what a regular glow starter will put out. 1.2 or 1.5 isn't enough. I mean, we're running up to like 4.2 on a plug, and those things are glowing white. And that's what these engines seem to like. So, just in case you're having a hard time getting yours to light off, and with the if you're running a standard Nelson plug on your FAI, you're probably just you're not going to get a whole lot of heat. It might be either hard to start, and if you do get it to light up, it might just nuke it. If you're nuking the plug real quick, a couple things. You want to raise the head, and then if you're running a standard Nelson plug, you might want to go to a FAI plug. OS also makes a few of these style plugs that they run in the cars, which will actually work too. And some of the guys have been racing on those. I don't know what those cost. They're probably a bit more pricey than these, because these are like $7. And you could get these redone too. If you burn them out, you could actually send them in, and they'll rebuild them and put a new element in them. There's some guys that do it themselves. I know places you could send in and have it done, or you could just buy them brand new, or you could buy ones that have been rebuilt. They're not terribly expensive. The regular Nelson plugs are $5, but these are like $7, I think. And I know you could get them you can get some of that stuff from Argus. So I think that's where I got that. But yeah, that's about it. That's how you do the pipe. And then if you need if it's jumpy on the pipe, then what you want to do, you move them in and out like this. That's how you tune them. But we have little shims, look like aluminum O-rings, and they're different, or aluminum washers, but they're different thicknesses, and you just stick them kind of in here and then push and put this back on. So that way the pipe is out like maybe 1.5 millimeters or 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters and so on. You know, and you just move the pipe in and out, and that's how you tune it. I mean, it's very, very little, but I don't have them right here on me, but that's how you tune the pipe. And you may have to do this every day, sometimes even every flight. You have to kind of tweak them a little bit to get them to run consistent and run steady. Like if it's having a bitch getting on the pipe, or if it's too jumpy on the pipe and it's not needling, it's like hard to needle it and get it just right. Try moving the pipe out a little bit and it'll smoothen it up. If you're having trouble getting on the pipe, you could also try lowering the head. You know, you don't want to have a lot of compression. You usually be a little bit on the low compression side. But if you are getting up, but it's you're murdering plugs, then you'll get kind of a you don't want to pit your piston and head, because then you got to clean it. But you want to, you know, then you can move the head up a little bit, add a shim or two, and then try it again. But the little 15 probably shouldn't be as hard as it is on this one. This one's a motherfucker. But that's usually what we do. And we could also try shortening props. Like mine, I got a prop right here, which is 170 millimeters, and I was having trouble. I couldn't get it to come up onto the pipe, and I was doing everything to spec, and it wouldn't pipe up. So I gotta trim this one down to like to about 166 millimeters. So kind of take about 2 millimeters off each tip, and then round it off and balance it again. So that's another thing you could do too, is if you're having a lot of difficulty, try shortening your prop just a little bit. I mean slightly. Like just take a millimeter off each end and rebalance it and make it nice and smooth and even around, and then try it again. And just try a little bit more and more until it comes up onto the pipe. Because sometimes, I mean, these things can be very, very sensitive to just the slightest little bit or on a long prop. And depending on where you live, different environments, different climates will be, you know, they'll be tuned differently. Like in Australia or Sweden, you know, I could probably run this pipe or run even a longer prop. But out here where I am, you know, I need to shorten the prop, you know, and even run different pipes and stuff, because it's just where I am. You know, the air pressure, the temperature, the humidity have a huge factor on these FAI engines. And they're frustrating. They can be frustrating as fuck, but when you get them to run, man, they really go. So, like some guys say FAI stands for fucking aggravating intensified. And then they're also to be real expensive. And then some other guys will say it's, you know, find another income. That's what this shit stands for, because it's just so outrageous. But anyway, that's about it. Yeah, you definitely want to run pressure. So like those pacifiers or a bladder or a Tetra tank, those would work. If you're running a pacifier or bladder that's like fully pressurized by itself, then you don't need to run a tap. But if you're running a Tetra tank, which has a bladder in it, but it runs on a pressure system, then you need to run a tap like this, which you could just put your pressure right at the high point, right by the high point of the pipe, is where you'd want to put the pressure nipple usually. Sometimes even guys have pressure nipples on the crankcase, like right off the back plate. But yeah, this is better. much better. So, that's about it.